We are about to walk you through the final part of this floating and clearing demonstration. So up until this point, we've basically got everything other than the purple section, which is the box 2 section. And so I'm just going to go and get over to our HTML, but just so you guys know, the section box 2 is going to act a lot similarly to what we did with box 1, where it acts as a container, and it also has the clearfix applied to it. So each one of these divs that we're going to use, we're going to float them to the left and apply the width and then the background color just to get them in place so we can see how floating works. And then we'll just reuse that clearfix. So I just want to give you the confidence that as we build a web layout, if we want to go from 2 columns to 3 columns, etc., we have the ability to float and then clear elements if we want to with this technique, just so you're familiar with how floating and clearing works and get some practice with it. So we're going to head over to our HTML, and I do have the HTML part already set up for you just to save us a bit of time, and I'll talk you through it. So similar to box 1, we're going to have box 2, and it also has a class called clearfix. So remember, we're going to be able to apply 2 classes to this one section element so that we can do whatever styles we want in box 2 that might be different from box 1. So we might change sizes, or we might change colors, etc. And then for the clearfix, that's something we're going to reuse. It never changes. So anytime we need to clear floats, we can just put it right on that element and clear it. Okay. Instead of using a left and right class like we did in the last example, this time we're going to use 3 different ones because we have 3 boxes, and we're just going to name them 1, 2, and 3. Just for the sake of simplicity. Each one of these we are going to float to the left, and we'll walk you through what that CSS looks like now. So let me just go ahead and open up the CSS for this. And here we go. So we are going to, and I'll just close these other files so I don't get mixed up. We are going to basically take box 1, and we're going to go ahead and add in that same code and change box 1 to box 2. Okay, the things I want you to change for this, because again, as that example that we had shows you, these are going to be different sizes, and they're probably going to have different content, which they do have a lot less content in them. So in this case, box 2, we're going to keep the same width, but the actual divs that go inside it, we're going to change. So we're going to actually make enough of a change so that we can see the difference in what's happening. So we'll pick some very different colors. We'll pick a blue, and then those same styles we're going to keep the same for now, just so that you can see, we have control over this section to be different from this section. Okay. The other thing that we will do is we'll go ahead after left and right. We're going to go ahead and add in our 1, and then we'll go ahead and tie in a width. And if we know that the width is 1200 overall, and we divided that by 3, that's 400. But we've got to factor in that we might want some space in between. So just for the sake of factoring in that space, I'm going to make these 350 pixels. And then we're going to float to the left. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and, just to make sure we can see this box, we're going to assign a background color, and we're going to change the background color for each one so that we can really see what we're working with in terms of boxes, which really helps when you're first learning. So notice how this one is different. So again, as we make the next 2, they are going to basically fall into place, but you may notice, you remember that blue that we had put in? The more we start floating, you might start seeing that disappear. So we'll just go ahead and walk through this. And I'm actually going to copy and paste these. And we'll go ahead and change out, the different colors. So we can see There's another color, and then surprisingly that blue's not going away. Now, as you gain experience, you will learn to be a little bit more efficient with certain coding practices, to use not only specificity, but for instance, if we know that these are all going to be the same, we might be able to group them together. But for the sake of this demonstration and understanding floating, we're just going to go ahead and go through showing you how these boxes come together and make sure you understand the concept of how floating works. Okay. So all three are floating to the left. The blue is still there because I do have the clearfix. So let me just show you guys. I had applied that in the beginning right here. So if I had taken that off, you'll notice that it kind of hides and goes away and things right up. So that is another example of why that clearfix is needed. And then the moment you bring it in, you'll see that it starts to fix things and your page comes together. So to get these back into position, you can play around with margin and padding on each one of these if you want to tweak that. Remember, margin is going to affect the outside space of your box, and padding will fix the inside space. So let me just apply that to one so you can see an example of it. So in the example of the first one, we'll make both visible on screen for you. Margin, we'll just give it like 15, let's do 10 pixels. So you notice how that space went to the outside of the box. Now let's go ahead and try padding. And then the space went to the inside of the box. Okay. And another way that you can see this is, with the border, because border also is applied to our box model, which affects things. So sometimes just seeing things with a border will help you see your boxes as well. So if you're needing to be able to see things, we're able to basically turn on borders and stuff. And there's my border showing up right here. So yeah. Anyhow, this should help you be able to understand how to float, and then also how to float between different sections. Just remember that clearfix is going to be super critical for you moving forward. So I would go ahead and work through this assignment and work through these strategies. I would definitely encourage trying to play around with your margin and padding so you can see what happens. And then once you're completed, you'll turn it in, and just let me know if you have any troubles or questions, and I will be here to answer questions.